Hi everyone, we are back again for another little chit chat with someone really quite cool. This is Zoe Canvan. We just spent 5 minutes for me practicing that. Did I get it right?
No.
How do you say it?
Canavan.
It's not that hard, is it? Canavan.
Yeah.
Zoe Canvan. Zoe has been working with me for, we just worked out, almost 2 years now. She is an Australian representative for underwater hockey, what is a sport that I know everyone is on the edge of their seats to find out more about, because it is actually quite fun and cool. So Zoe, open up. Let's. What is underwater hockey and how does it work?
I still don't know. So if someone else could find out, that would be great. We basically we play in a pool, in a normal pool on the bottom. We've got a puck that's made out of lead, like an ice hockey puck. And we've got some fins, mask, snorkel, sticks and glove. The aim of the game is quite simple. Put the puck in the tray more than the other team and just bash each other up under the water for half an hour.
It is a very physical game because I've watched some of your games, on the YouTube links and stuff like that you sent me. And I was just like, my God, like, how do you not get hit in the head with a stick?
You do. You can't avoid it. You learn to move your head faster than what the puck or the foot is coming at it.
Yeah, it's pretty mental, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's three-dimensional, so you can actually be hit from any direction. So someone can come from either side, on top or underneath you. So it's not like just because you're on the bottom of the pool, you're not going to possibly get hit with someone coming under you to be a bit naughty.
Cut in front of you or something like that, yeah?
Yeah. And, you go to the bottom of the pool, sometimes you're surfacing. I've collided with people and, had injuries because we've both been going in opposite directions. So there's a lot going on. The deeper the pool, the less crazy that is, because you have that extra meter or so to kind of like calm down. But,
is there a set limit that it has to be at?
No. So there's a minimum. And I'm no expert on it, but what I gather is that it's determined by volume. So they just the length and the width of the court and the depth. So you can have a deeper court, but have narrower.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's people far smarter than me that figure that stuff out. I just go where I'm told to and play.
Oh, that's quite interesting. I thought it was like, it would have been a standard, like, 10 by 15 or something.
I think there's like minimum requirements, but some pools are going to be 2, 2.1, 2.2, that sort of thing. And from what I can, I've never played in a game that's the same length and width as at 2 meters and 3 meters depth. They usually narrow it. It just depends on the pool, I guess.
So if you're playing at 3 meters, that's quite, that's not massively deep, but it's a lot deeper than 2 meters, obviously by a meter. Like, that takes a lot of effort getting down there and staying down there. How does that affect the game time?
It changes it completely.
Yeah.
There's arguments around the ideal depth is around 2.2, 2.3. When you're in a 2 meter pool, you can easily get to the bottom of the pool. So the 2 meter is like
faster, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you can drop by being vertical and dropping down in a 2 meter, but in 3 meters you can't do that because you get halfway, you lose all of your momentum, and you just look like an idiot. But the 3 meters, you have to change your timing from when you're surfacing to when you're coming down. The whole game plan changes for 3 meters.
Yeah, the more and more I'm thinking about it, the more and more I think, with my limited knowledge of the sport, that like a deeper option would be better than 2 meters.
Yeah,
that would space the game out a lot more as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the last World Championships was 3 meters, and it was really enjoyable. The next one is 2 meters, so it changes the way that a team, what's your game plan, how you as an individual play, and then ultimately how you prep as well, because your fitness for 2 meters is very different to what you need for 3.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. So what got you into underwater hockey?
My brother started playing because he wanted to get out of swimming. he was the type that would hide under the lane ropes at the far end and think the coach couldn't see him. So any excuse to get out, he took. So my mum and dad both played. They're both 2-time world championships winners. And mum had started playing again. So Todd went along with her, and I went to his first nationals, and basically got really jealous that he was getting all the attention. And I wanted to be involved, and I thought the people were really cool. Joke's on me, those people are still around and they drive me crazy. But I started and just didn't stop, really.
That's cool. I didn't realise that your parents were both underwater hockey guys as well.
Yeah, they were in the first, Australian teams that we had. So we didn't know growing up about it. They didn't tell us about the sport at all until my brother started playing.
The dark secrets of the family is underwater hockey players.
Yeah, they just didn't want us. They wanted us to choose what sports we did out of our own free will, I guess.
That's fair enough. I had a really good question in my head, and this often happens when I just forget stuff. How many Oz teams have you been on now?
This will be my second Worlds team.
Yep.
But I have been playing for Australia in Trans-Tasmans and other comps 5 other times.
Yeah. So, because you came to me last year, and I think we've had 2 since then, yeah? That we've prepared for.
We've had nationals.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, 2 nationals.
Yeah.
And 1 Australian.
Yeah, we haven't had any internationals, you and I.
What was the one you just went to? Oh, that was nationals. No, that was cool. There you go. Getting my own plan.
Yeah, good planning there.
Right. No, I know. Yeah, you had that one you just went to.
Yeah, nationals in Sydney.
Yeah, and how did you go?
We came. Oh, I don't remember what we came, but it wasn't first, so it doesn't really matter. I think we came 3rd or 4th. Possibly, I don't know. One of the 2. We came something. We unfortunately lost out in a playoff against Victoria to go to play against Tasmania, who came first ultimately. So I think we came 4th actually. But it was a good competition. We had a New Zealand team come over, and we had 2 New Zealand teams come over, but one of them was particularly strong, it just makes your competition so much better when you've got those Kiwis coming over to kick our asses. Yeah.
Oh, the Kiwis pretty good at it?
Yeah, the Kiwis are the reigning world champions in the women's grade.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So they're pretty good.
Exceptional, talented group.
Rugby and underwater hockey.
Yep.
That's what Kiwis are up to.
That's all they're doing.
That's not at the moment. We've got too many sports over here. I say it once, I say it again. We've got too many sports going on over here. Too many sports, not enough people. It's a recipe for underperforming at every level, but that's okay.
That's another topic, isn't it?
It's another topic in general. So, how's training with me? Do you still find me annoying? That's probably why you train online, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So, for everyone, Zoe has been an online member of mine since we started. When we first started, she was coming down. I think you were coming down once every 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Just to get checked in so we could get that technique bang on perfect. Now I barely even talk to you. It's just we catch up. We maybe send a message to each other once a week and kind of figure out what's going on and what's not. And you ask me any questions when you get new programs. But how you find the online? Because you're on the. How's the evolution of the online program to what it is today?
It's been really good. When we started, we just used Dropbox, for our programs. And I was really bad at updating them with how I went because I wasn't doing it. Yeah, I wasn't doing it at the time because it wasn't user friendly to do at the time, and then I would forget to do it. So now we're on the app. I can do it on the fly. There's the questionnaire, so I can, get it done. And also my history is really accessible as well. So it's been cool to see it progress through to that. Both of them were good options, but this is way better, I think.
Yeah, I think the Dropbox was good for the time and where it was at the time, but Train Heroic is so much better.
Yeah, and especially with videos and stuff, movements that, I might know, but I forget.
You had videos in Dropbox. I filmed every exercise and uploaded it onto Dropbox. You realise how long that takes?
I know, but then I had to sit there and go and find them and then, ask you when I couldn't figure out what you'd labelled it. And
yeah, because sometimes I'd write it as two different things. Yeah, I know. There was a lot of flaws in my life in the Dropbox system, but it did the job.
It did, but that's a summary of working with you, isn't it?
It did the job.
Method madness.
Yeah, everything. There's always a plan, and sometimes it always works eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
No matter what, it always gets to something eventually. You're probably one of the most hands-off athletes that I've actually ever had to deal with, and it's not because of anything bad. It's actually a good thing. You're very independent and you can get stuff done by yourself. I rarely need to, people probably listen to before and say, I only catch up with you once a week. That's only because that's only how much I need to catch up with her. That's almost too much. You get annoyed when I talk to you too much, I think. So tell us a little bit about that, how you've managed, is that a strategy you've managed to develop over time? As a nature of the sport, or is that something you've always been like?
I think it's a nature of where I've lived and the sport. When I started playing, I was in Queensland and it was just my brother and I in our town. Everyone else was really far away. When I lived in New Zealand for a bit, same thing. I didn't live near anyone to train with them. And then when I was in Melbourne, there was absolutely no one around to train with. So if I didn't go and train and push myself, it wasn't going to happen. So it's a good thing. It develops a different set of mental skills that you would have where if someone's not available for a swim or a gym session, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, you always get the work done. There's one thing that I know is that you always get the work done. And you'll tell me before I even get a chance to check on your program that you haven't been able to do a program. And you'll tell me exactly why and what we need to change and why it was, or if you had a bad week or something happened, your foot hurt, who knows. It's one of the, you're one of the easiest athletes I have to deal with in a lot of ways. And then in a lot of other ways,
I'm the worst. I knew you were going to bring that up.
Day of the week.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that obviously brings us to the other side of that, fierce independence that you have and being able to do it by yourself in some of the, I wouldn't say control issues. I would say the knowledge of you doing it yourself for so long and then trying to give away that control to someone else to kind of tell you, you don't need to do necessarily that much. We can scale this back a bit. Is that right in saying?
Yeah, well, that's really why I started looking for you. Don't look at me like that. After the Quebec Worlds, I wanted help with my strength and conditioning. Previously, I had a PT who was great, but it just wasn't, I wanted to elevate myself to a next level. And there's so many, bits and pieces that we have to think about as underwater hockey players with your training. It's not just swimming and games. You've got your gym work, your cross training, your skills, plus your swimming and your gym. There's just too much for us to think about on top of full-time work, because none of us get paid to do this, like most athletes. But I needed someone to plan my strength out in a long, the long planning method while factoring in my conditioning. So how many swims and stuff I was expected to do, because there are expectations from coaches on what we need to be doing to reach the level. So you're great because you program the strengths, but you look at the week as a whole. So if I come to you and say, hey, I'm really struggling in the gym or in the pool, you've got all that background to know what we need to tweak. So when you tell me to rest, I know it's time to rest.
Yeah. And that's something that's definitely been happening now. It's been awesome. Telling you to rest sometimes was the worst experience of my life, but we've now got it. I'm actually just looking for it in my Dropbox file, that plan, because I think it would be good to put up on screen, but I will find that in a second. But I've got your weekly one up. I haven't got your that long-term one I did for like 4 years or whatever. I'm trying to find that, but I don't know where it's gone in Dropbox, but I'll find that in a second. Yeah, and just, it's a very good point you touched on. Especially the water-based sports, you have, you obviously have the swimming aspect to it. You'll have, your skills aspect to it. You got your strength aspect to it, and then you've got, your life to deal with as well. And trying to manage that as one person is very tough, I find, and I've found that a lot with every water athlete I've ever met. It is very hard balance, and you need to and they're all water athletes are the same. Like you, they're maybe not as high up in the control, knowing everything at one time as you, but they all struggle. It's also something they struggle with. They always need someone else to take over that kind of training load capacity kind of work and tell them when they need a rest, because swimmers, monofin swimmers, water polo, there's so much work involved because you're in the water, you're not on land. It's not a natural environment to be in. So naturally you've got to get sensation for water, and it makes it very hard because you start dropping down and you start missing that stuff out, and it gets quite hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's the added component where there's more time involved in going for a swim than going for a run.
Yeah, to get the level of kilometres and the, whatever in, for water sports, you need more time in the water than you would on land, because on land, you do it every day anyway. You're always walking around.
Yeah, and for our sport as well, we do try to do a level of cross-training that's land-based. Yeah. I personally do spin classes because it's using the same muscles that we use in hockey, but it's pushing you in a different way. That there's both camps there. My brother is team only swim and do nothing else, and I'm team do a bit of cross training, because for me it's another way of training, but it's a bit of a mental break from the swimming, because swimming sucks when you're doing underwaters repetitively. It sucks.
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree with you. You're right. It does. And I'm also I'm a big fan of the cross-training aspect across all water-based sports, and I wish more water-based sports would do it, because the simple fact is, you realistically, you probably only need to be in the water for enough time for you to be able to develop the skills of being in the water, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Your heart does not know if you're in water or out of water when it is required. Yeah. Mm. So as a general GDP, fitness level or threshold level, or, speed's a bit different because you've got to be able to learn how to apply it to water. So that you need to do in the water. But other than that, you can do that in other forms. I'm a strong believer of that. You can do it in other ways. You have to build up the certain muscle capacity that is going to be required for it. And that's a different thing. But in terms of just energy systems, you could do that wherever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but for us, it's the oxygen deprivation that you can't get from, some people, you can go to those chambers or wear the weird masks, or you can sit on a bike and hold your breath, but it's not the same as doing a swim.
And that's where you need to do it in the water. But the general volume of kilometres to build up an aerobic capacity, you can probably do wherever you needed to.
Yeah, I agree.
The learning of the skill of holding your breath and being able to control air while underwater and stuff like that, and being able to know your limits and stuff, you obviously have to train that. That is a skill. Yeah. And building that lung capacity up is something you're going to have to do in the environment that you need to do it in. Unless you just hold your breath for a long time.
Yeah, but even in a game, you can just be stationary. That's where it's interesting, because people always say, how long can you hold your breath for? And
ages.
I actually don't have a great breath hold stationary. If I jumped in the water, because I start thinking and I'm like, I need to breathe. It's just up there, I'll breathe. But when you're in a game, you can be in the position I play as a back, you can be moving behind, lurking. So you're moving very slowly. So your breath hold lasts a long time. Because I play an explosive game as well, when you go for the puck, you've just churned up the oxygen that you've got. So your breath hold is going to be shorter, but you've still got work to do. You can't just pop because you need to.
Yeah, so it's the oxygen level required for the, because your muscles need oxygen to do the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're more explosive, you're going to need a larger amount of oxygen at one stage to be able to produce that amount of force to get to the place you need to go to. You're just floating around. But I think the difference between you like saying that you can hold your breath longer if you're lurking around is because you're distracted rather than the actual true lung capacity that you have.
Yeah, when we do static breath holds, I am not very good at them because
you're bored because you're thinking about a million different things that you could be doing.
Yeah, if we do statics and there's a game going on and I can hold myself under and watch the game, I'll stay under for whatever time we need. But if I'm just staring at the tiles, I start thinking about, what snacks I'm going to have after the game. I get distracted.
Yeah. Hang on. I've found those things. I found one. I found the most recent one, so I'll get that up. Do you mind if I get that up?
Yeah, go for it.
It's your plan at the end of the day.
This was the 6 months leading to Worlds, wasn't it? Which is
this one. The September to be decided, January 2020. This is the current phase that we were on until the world turned upside down.
Yeah.
So this plan will probably have to change. Is that sharing to your screen right now?
No.
Double click it. That's what you got to do, Ryan. Double click. You got it?
Yes.
Sweet. So we've got. So for everyone who is watching on the left, I'll just make that bigger. This is the big plan. It doesn't look like it's got that much detail on it because this is just an overview of what we were thinking. Okay, and it's got our focuses, how long the cycles will take, how long the cycles will take, and some major things that we had planned for that during the time. So January 19, we had trials. Then you went on a trip. Did that end up happening?
No, it didn't.
That didn't end up happening, did it?
No, we had a training camp in October.
That was it, yeah. And then January trials again?
Yep.
It's the one you just went to, and then you're supposed to be going pretty soon.
Yeah, in July.
Yeah, and it's all, build foundation, reassess, and that was a really important one because we went, okay, we need to build a foundation, and then we need to figure out, based on that trials comp, where we were lacking and where we needed to go from there, because this was a new sport for me as well. But I think we did a pretty good job, didn't we?
Yeah, well, I came to you with quite a few niggles, but one particularly bad issue with my ankle, which had led me to not being able to play Quebec the way that I wanted to.
Yeah.
It had been rolled, so it was just a lot of instability there. So I came to you not being able to do a lot of the movements that you needed me to do.
Yeah, and that was the first thing. Yeah, here we go. Injury reduction, movement quality.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It was pretty bad.
What a focus.
Yeah.
And we're looking to build as much strength as we could during that time as well.
Yeah, and because we focused on that, I was able to play all of those things on there without injuries.
Yeah, what I remember was the main goal.
Yeah.
I remember it was we talked a lot about making sure that you were available to play games at whenever you needed to play a game.
Yeah, because there was nothing worse than it was like day 2 in Quebec, and I woke up and I couldn't move because my back had seized.
Yeah, you had bad back as well, didn't you?
I had bad everything. My thoracic.
You used to be so busted before you started to come see me. I should ask for more money.
No, well, I'm still pretty busted, but.
Oh, you're still pretty busted. And here is a bit more of an in detailed one. This is one you sent to me, yeah?
Yeah, this when we were working out how we could manage the load.
Because you like colours.
Quite old, but.
Yeah, but this is an example.
Yeah.
Question: increase to 3 swims a week, perhaps 2 with fins, one without. Because I wanted you to do without, because we had a big talk about swimming with fins and without fins, didn't we?
Yes.
Because I wanted to take some pressure, some load off your ankles during.
Yeah, we were on the same page, but there was traditionally some hesitation from people in the underwater hockey community of having no fin swims in there.
Look, all the other ones.
And this was the benefit of us starting as early. Like, it is completely unusual to start as early as we did in my sport. Like, people generally start building 9 months out for a Worlds, 4 for a Nationals. You and I went completely off board.
18 months or something, like 18 to 20 months.
Yeah, which was great at the time, but now it's doubled, so that's super fun.
So you have to hang out with me for more time?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, I know. I haven't gotten over that mentally yet. But it meant that we were able to spend all that time working on the injuries, practicing different week structured, because we knew what the training load was going to be expected from the last 6 months. So we could practice what was going to work, what didn't work. We found out that I could train at the load that I needed to, or that I wanted to, for like 6 weeks, and then I crashed.
Yeah, and that's why we were very big. Like, it was very a big decision from there on. Like, hey, we don't want to take you to 6 weeks because we don't want to ever get you to that crash. So we started moving you to more of a conjugate model, didn't we, for this block? And that was more based around, look, we're going to get adaptation and rest in every week and just keep building that way. So train everything at the same time, and a lot of factors were in that. It was a lot. Like, one of them was, your age, your injury histories and stuff like that. And you honestly were just responding better to it. So I'm glad we did do that. That was a big change for everyone.
Yeah, and it shows why it's worthwhile working in a longer time period. It's like what I have on the screen here is very different to my load now.
Yeah. Yeah, this is very much the old school one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like this phase we were doing a lot more yoga because that was helping with particularly with the ankle instability. And it was kind of a transition because I wasn't ready to be swimming 4 or 5 times a week. Mentally, I wasn't ready to be doing that at this time.
Yeah, because you've got a good little progression there on your swimming. So swim distances. Yeah, and another great thing, I didn't have to write all your swim programs out.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Like, that wasn't why I came to you.
Yeah,
I wanted, the only thing that I wanted to stress about for that build was what swims and what skill work I was going to do.
Yeah. How's this professional? Lol.
Yeah.
How's that for professional? Lol. But yeah, for everyone who's looking at home or wherever you are, that's what it looks like. If anyone's listening to this on audio form, sucks to be you. Stop sharing that for a moment before everyone steals my secrets.
Yeah, there's a lot of people looking to see what I'm doing.
There's 50 subscribers. I'll let you know. To this YouTube channel.
My personal fans.
Oh, your personal fans. Well, that's why I have chosen to talk to you, is because I want to boost my subscriber rate.
Yeah, you'll get 2. You'll get my parents.
Yes. Hey, little wins every day. I talked to her about you as well. It's not about, and you're very good at this. I didn't really have to explain this to you that much. It's not about like being ready for the comp in 2 weeks' time. It's about being ready for the comp when the comp is.
Yes.
So freaking hell, like, slow down with progressing your weights, the amount of weight that you put on a bar or how much weight you're trying to lift and stuff like that. Take it slow. If you need to go backwards because you're feeling shit that day, go backwards. It's fine. Yeah,
and you gave really good guidance on, before we started, I didn't know how much I should be increasing the weights each week. There was no guidance on that sort of thing. Like, I just hadn't had that. So, you go and you think, oh, this feels okay. I should put 10 kilos on, and then your form goes to shit. But
the next week you don't have the capacity to go up again because you've jumped the gun the week before.
Yeah, and the progression of the movements as well. It's something that I've seen a lot with the teams that I've been in lately, where and it's a conversation we're having with my team at the moment about strength work, about how it's a slow build. There are higher rest periods because you're doing that heavier stuff. People generally get a bit antsy when the long rest periods.
Yeah, they want to. Especially girls, just as a side note, girls are a lot harder to rest than guys are, just generally. I'm not sure what it's like with you guys, but girls just want to get in and get stuff done. Yeah, they
and I agree with that. I personally, I think because I've had longer to get my head around the concept and I've been doing this for a while, I'm happy with it. Sorry?
You used to hate the rest periods that I put in.
Yeah, because I got bored.
Like the 3-minute rest periods when you're doing your power work?
Yeah.
How many of those do you actually do?
But then I do mobility now in the rest period.
Yeah, because we put that in because it's something you need to do. But it makes sure that you actually freaking rest. So that's
I could do it.
something I
Yeah.
put in with everyone, because not like, it's actually, if you tell someone to rest for a minute and a half after a set, I guarantee you they're looking at probably, there's two ways it's going to go. Yeah. If they're actually focused on the training session itself and they want to get good results out of the training session, they're going to be going like, after maybe about 30 seconds, they're going to be looking at that bar thinking it's been a minute, it's been 90 seconds. Or they're going to sit down on their phone and they're going to spend 5 minutes on their phone. And it'll take them 2 hours to get their set done.
Yeah.
Both of which aren't what I asked for. And there's a reason why rest is important. And I tell you certain rest periods for certain different exercises, because I'm looking for an adaptation, and I'm ranting now. I'm looking for a select adaptation, and the rest period is an important part of that.
Yeah, I think like you've obviously got that in there, but sometimes that's not in people's programs. So it's been a hard mentality to get around, and also understanding why they need to be doing that rest.
Yeah. Well, I don't even need to write it in for most of my programs, because I educate the guys. I'm very proud of the fact that I actually educate guys. Like, we're having a discussion about strength and conditioning that most S&C coaches or personal trainers this would be new to, and they could be seasoned PTs and stuff like that, and they wouldn't even understand it. So they'd be like, oh, what, like, rest affects what adaptation you get? Yes, dumbass. Yes, it does.
So the good thing is like, I don't have the level of knowledge that you have. I don't need to. It's not my area. But the way that you've taught the program is that I understand why I'm doing what I'm doing at a base level. So it kind of helps me, especially because I'm an online, it helps me understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, which for me makes it part of the journey. Like, I can actually see myself improving, and I've got that knowledge as to why it's working.
Yeah. And a really important part of that is, like, everything I put down on a program or a piece of paper, or, a weekly, like, plan, like that weekly plan, that was about 3 weeks it took to finalize that, like, because it has to be right. And there has to be a reason for everything. And if I think there's something out, we're going to have to make sure it fits before we start doing it. So, like, and if whenever you came to ask me, like, why are we doing this way this time, I have an answer for you. And it's not like I'm making stuff up on the fly just because I'm trying to fill your time up. Everything there has a freaking purpose to it.
Yeah, and sometimes though the stuff didn't work. So, we would have conversations about, like, I'd go to a comp and be like, hey, I felt really good with this, but this wasn't where we wanted it to be.
Yeah, we needed to work on this a little bit more.
Yeah, or I'd be doing a certain exercise and I'm like, hey, this hurts this.
And like, it's a big thing. And that's really good that you do that, because online, that is the biggest challenge that I get with online, and why I don't like really doing that much online work. Because if I don't have someone like you who's actually going to communicate things to me and not be scared to speak up, or can be bothered to speak up more likely, like, it makes a big difference, because a lot of the stuff that I do really well is adapting and stuff like that to plans that we spent ages doing. So if you don't give me any feedback, I can't really do much about it, can I?
No, because then the next month you program based off of the assumption that, so it's definitely like, you need to trust the program that you're getting, but you need to have that relationship where you can say, hey, like, I've sent you messages where I've told you that I hate you, where you're batshit crazy, you're annoying.
This is stupid. And I go, okay, let's have a phone conversation about it. And I'll explain every little bit of it. And you're like, oh, okay.
Fine, but I still hate you.
Yeah. Like, sometimes you said, I remember getting a message one time. He said, I'm not doing that program. It's weird. I don't know what you're doing. It doesn't make any sense to me. I do. I remember this. And we had like an hour-long conversation. And at the end of it, you just said, okay, I'll do the program now. And I was like, cool, thanks.
Sounds like me.
I was like, yeah, cool. But thanks for the phone call, mate. You're like, I'm just concerned that we're doing all these things, and before you said we wouldn't do those. And I was like, yeah, but you're now this far along in your plan. Things have changed.
Yeah, and it's the learning curve for me as someone who's never had that before as well.
Yeah.
In our sport, we get left to our own devices to go. Sometimes you get swim programs given for you. Sometimes people would do strength, but it was never individualized. It was never specific, and it was never planned out over a long term. So there's that learning curve of understanding why I'm doing what I'm doing, because for me, that's what gets me invested in the sessions, when I know what the end goal is.
There's also, I think, especially with your sports, and I'd say, less known or sports that have not a lot of funding behind them, it's a very common thing for them not to have someone like an overarching coach who can kind of go, we need a plan here. Like, I feel like a lot of the guys who do stuff like underwater hockey, et cetera, have, they have a skills coach, they have a fitness coach, they'll have a strength coach, and none of them is putting the whole jigsaw together. What I thought was a really good component of what I did and what's benefited you a lot, because you'd come to me and say, I need this many swim sessions based on what this person's told me. I need to do this many yoga sessions because of what I know of myself. And I like doing these spin sessions / could I do a boxing session? Where can we fit everything in to get the best out of it?
Yeah, well, the boxing is a great example. That's completely off book of what is on paper, what underwater hockey players should be doing. But I was doing everything by the Bible, following all the rules, doing all the things. And I was just feeling like I wanted to cut loose one session a week, but in a productive way. So it was loosely tied to hockey. And there's a movement where you tuck the puck into your chest like this and you push it out. And I felt quite weak here. And we were working on it in the gym program. But I was, and I was on Instagram and I was like, hey, boxes look sick. I'm going to try that. So I said to you, I was like, can I go and try it? And you're like, you are weird, but yeah, go give it a go. And then when I came back to you and said I loved it, you're like, cool, here you go. This is what you need.
Yeah, I think it was more like you asked me to do it and I was like, why are we doing this now? What is going on? Had a conversation with you about it and you explained it very well. And I went, okay, well, that will make sense. Let's give it a go. We'll give it a go for a 4-week block and see what happens.
Yeah, and then I kept doing it.
Yeah, it went by. Like, for me, I was like, okay, you're doing this boxing, but we're going to have to take something else out. Because otherwise we're going to go over the top because we're adding another session when we said we're not going to do any more sessions. And this was recently as well. So this is when we've really cut back. Your training's cut back heaps from what it was.
Yeah.
In terms of maximal volume over a week.
Yeah, I mean, quantity, because it's interesting because there is an old mentality on the number of sessions that you do.
Yeah.
I've always been quality over quantity, but having said that, I still run at a high number simply because I love this. I don't do anything else. So like, me training isn't meaning that I'm not going and hanging out with friends. Like, they come and train with me. Like, so for me, training is a therapy. It's part of my self-identity, but I'm very conscious that there is a certain level and volume that the body simply can't go over. I think we dropped a spin class to do boxing.
Yeah, no, we definitely, because I said, well, you're going to be getting your cardio, this high intensity cardio out of a boxing session, because you're not going there, you're not getting a one-on-one private, like, skills session, boxing session. Like, if it's a boxing class, you're going to be doing something and it's going to be getting your heart rate up. So you can drop a spin class and we can balance it out that way.
Yeah, I just go and hit the bag for, it's a small session. It's 10 rounds of 15 on, 45 off twice. Yeah. And I just hit the bag for that time. It is so much fun. I do it on Sunday mornings. I have a great time. It's probably one of my favorite sessions, even though physically it hurts more than any of the others do because it is very tiring.
It's not high intensity work.
Yeah.
Buckets.
It's great. I love it.
Sweating buckets.
And there's just something like, because for me, I'd never done it before. So I did a couple of boxing classes, like very small 1-on-1 or 2-on-1, so I could learn the technique, that I wasn't doing the wrong thing. And, you know, it does, when I start doing it, it does hurt. It does flare the thoracic spine up. But because I was doing it over, no, I told you that. That's why we did the 4 weeks. Yeah, that's why we did the 4 weeks. Because my first session, I was like, oh my God, why did I do this? And then over that 4-week block, it got easier. So going back after bloody lockdown is not going to be exciting. But that's something that not many other people do in their programs. And I'm a huge advocate now of putting something in that is not necessarily traditional for underwater hockey training, but it gets, like, it frees you up mentally. And I played a nationals and that move was way stronger Was it the boxing or was it the other work? I don't know. But either way, I got the end result.
Yeah. I think it was probably a combination of everything. I think that velocity of movement is probably something that has been helped out by the boxing, especially that pressing velocity. It's very hard to do that in a water environment because you've got resistance everywhere. So trying to actually move at a high velocity is quite
even in
hard.
general, like you had to watch our videos and I would try and pinpoint certain movements, but like it's hard. You can't train for a certain skill. Like no. I can't say to you, I want to do this. And you're like, well, this is what you do in the gym to get better at it. Like it's a whole body thing.
Like everything that I do as a strength and conditioning coach is general purpose. It's GDP at the end of the day. And anyone who says otherwise is a moron. Because like, the end of the day, I am not teaching you how to do your sport. That is the only thing that is, or you are not, I'm not doing your sport. Yeah, I'm not coaching you through your sport. That is the most sport specific thing you can do. A squat is not specific to underwater hockey movement. Yes, we are training the muscles and making you stronger in the areas that you need to be to get the potential to be able to transfer it to the skill, but it's not actually the skill.
Yes.
So it's not specific at all.
No.
And you see some dumb shit out there. Like people doing like, because I work a lot in swimming, you see some stupid swimming stuff. Like people doing straight arm pull downs and stuff like that. I'm just like, you are just overloading the shoulder capsule. That is what you're doing.
We do, you see a lot of people working on their wrists or their forearms. Like they do a lot of the rolling or just like forearm stuff.
That's okay. We've done forearm before, but that's just so you can grip the thing harder.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the thing. But you and I were doing it from the grip point of view. But if you ask the people why they're doing these weird things, they're like, oh, because it will make my flick better. But they're not understanding what they're actually doing. They've seen someone else do it.
Yeah, it won't make their flick better. It will give them the potential to have a better flick.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very like, I guess it's very like saying it's not like the way we just said it there. It's not, but it's giving you the potential. Is very like, well, you are still making it better, but you're not. You're not. You still have to go and practice the skill. Otherwise, you're not going to be better at the flick skill, at that flick movement. You just have the potential to be able to do it now.
Exactly. And, it's an obstacle of ours is to practice so that, they say how many hours you need to get better at a skill. And the only way to develop the skill is hours and hours and hours of working on it. For us to work on our skills in the exact way, we have to get in a bloody pool that is tiled and we have to have a puck available. Not everyone has a puck and you have to do it over and over. And you can't do that. We can't go to the pool 7 times a week just to do skill work on top of everything else we do. So, you look for it in your gym work. We do land-based stuff with ice hockey pucks or actual pucks on carpet. You can do stuff like that. But it's not the same as getting in the pool. It's not like basketball where you can just go straight to the hoop and practice in the park.
Yeah. And it's like another thing, like I was going to use the using it like your puck and ice hockey kind of style on land, but there's one really critical factor that you will not get, and that is the density of water versus the density of air.
Yeah.
So yes, you can practice the skill on land and that will get you somewhere, but until you can actually do it under the load under the resistance that you're going to have to do it in the water, you're not going to be able to experience that.
And the same body position. So like a push-pull where you're going like this, I can do it when I'm lying on the carpet, but in the game, the movement actually happens where you pop your chest up and you bring it down here.
Yeah, and you're at a horizontal base for that, aren't you?
Yeah, and you can't...
It's a vertical base.
Yeah, I've seen people like rigging up like on a skateboard or they're like hanging from things to try and pull themselves up. It's just...
Risk versus reward at the end of the day. Your body reacts differently in air than it does in water. If you're hanging it off the thing, you are already creating a massive amount of resistance if you're out of water versus in water.
Yeah.
Even if you've gone, okay, we're normally like this. If I make myself like this, I'm now got gravity, but now you've got body weight, your entire body weight as well to deal with, and a lot of other things. It's more like you're probably not strong enough to deal with that amount of load trying to do a specific movement when you're doing it in the water versus doing it on land.
Yeah. So land is good for some stuff. Like it's something that I'll probably start doing now that we're coming towards hopefully the end of lockdown, just to get those muscles awake again and just thinking about it.
Or just like the feel, like the tracing of the movement and stuff like that. That's all very valid. Yeah, like that's important.
Yeah.
But you got to realize that it's not, unless you are doing the skill in the environment you are needing to do the skill in, you are not getting a 100% direct transfer with all the conditions in place. It's not a thing. You cannot recreate water density in a air environment.
Yeah.
But you can practice the same movements. That's absolutely fine. And you can build a pathway that way. That's fine. It's just not going to be the same. And when you get in the water, it's going to be different, and you're going to have to, adapt to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you've got weird things like currents working when you actually move that way, a lot of water, like stuff like that you don't get in there. Crazy this stuff, isn't it?
And people to avoid.
What's next on the horizon for you?
Well, hopefully getting back into more normal training. So pools are starting to open back up in WA. So, but the number of swims that you can do will be restricted while we're in the trial periods. But for me, I've really enjoyed lockdown. We spoke about how the duration of my build was as long as you really would do without, I never had more than a week off. So this lockdown has been an active vacation for me. I wanted the rest when we were almost locking. I was like, let's lock it down, close the pools, I'm done. And then not like day one, first run, 5 minutes in, I was like, open the pools. I've had enough. I want to go back. So for me, it'll be going back into training. It'll be a slow reintroduction, especially in the water. No fins, pool. I like to reintroduce myself slowly. We're hoping that we'll have nationals in January, so that will give us something to kick starting in, August-ish. And then Worlds in July next year.
Awesome.
So that will be great.
Can't wait. Like, in my perspective, yes, it sucks because we had this really cool plan and it was doing the right thing, but plans change all the time. And the opportunity, we now get another opportunity to work on the things that we may not have been, had the time to get on top of. We can check. For you, I've said this a lot over the last 8 weeks or so. I honestly think that this forced break period that we're having is one of the best things that could ever have happened to the non-professional sports.
For athletes like me that were training, For athletes that didn't have the routine, been tough.
Just for I'm only talking about the ones that actually do the work.
Okay, yeah. Then
Otherwise, you're not an athlete. If you're not training like an athlete, are you really an athlete? Or are you just pretending to be one? So for the swimmers, especially for you, I saw this come up, and I was like, oh, good. They need a rest. Everyone needs a rest. I think one of the great positives of this whole thing has been the realizations for a lot of people that we do too much and we work ourselves too hard. And to take a step back and actually look at that has been freaking good, to be honest. A lot of the swimmers are overworked because of and it's the way, it's like you, the way the calendar is set up, not a lot of off season.
No off season. Not for me.
Yeah, well, you could take an off season, but then, you'd only have an 8 week build, and you're a professional. So, you're not.
Way harder to start.
You're a professional athlete. Mentally, you're a professional athlete.
Yeah.
You take the off season that is available to you and you can afford to take, and then you're back to getting better.
Yeah.
Or you're taking enough off season that you need to get, you know, your body recovered and fixed up or whatever you need to get done, and then you're back to work.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, oh, thank God, people can actually take this break now, do some other stuff. I was like rubbing my hands together because I was like, it's time for S&C. We're going to get some gym work in, and then gym's closed. So, you know, whatever. But everyone got to do some cool isometrics on the dry land. You had ISOs in your program, didn't you?
Yes.
How did you like the ISOs?
I hated them when I started because that was completely new. But
you know, you do a lot of them. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, the push-ups were really hard. As you knew, I was not very good at push-ups when we started lockdown. So the ISO holds for push-ups were incredibly hard. Like I just couldn't get back up. I was stuck. But I've seen it progressing each week. And I did the ISO lunge holds today, you know, and you can see that, you know, each time you're doing them, you're getting better at it. It still sucks. That's the thing with being an athlete. It never gets easier. You just get better at it. That annoying old saying, but.
Did I say that to you?
No, it's on the wall at HBF.
Oh, is that where I saw it? I said it one day. That must be where I've seen it, and I've taken it out of my brain. 3 years ago, I said it to one of my clients, and I thought I just made it up on the spot.
No.
Damn it.
You're thieving their copyright. At least I gave them credit for it.
No, you can't give them copyright if you didn't know you stole it.
Well, it's someone else's, like they attributed it. It's someone's quote, so you've seen it somewhere.
Damn
but
it.
Yeah, so, and the good thing about lockdown is I started doing stair runs again and realised I think that they're quite helpful. So there might be something that I'll continue for the next, like outside of lockdown.
Even if we rotate them in and out going forwards, yeah.
Yeah, because it's a good mental training. So often we only think about the physical training in sport, and there are some training sessions that we do that really help our mental approach for whatever reason. And stairs has been really good because I'm really focused on the job I have to get done for myself and for my team.
You can't think about anything else when you're doing stair runs, because if you do, you're going to fall over and look like an idiot.
Yeah, I've almost fallen over a couple of times.
Yeah, but that's just the job coordinator.
Well, that's because it's been raining and windy and I still go and do it. And I'm uncoordinated.
I know. No days off.
I have days off.
I know, I can see it in your plan. Wednesday.
Yeah, I like Wednesdays off.
Wednesdays off. Midweek for you. It's good.
Yeah, I've had more days off in lockdown. That's a big advocate for people. It's just not stressing out if you need to have those days, you know. And you don't have to do yoga or mobility on those days. You can lie down and do nothing.
Yeah, you can chill out. It's very important. And I think that's where we should probably leave it, because otherwise we can talk for hours about literally anything training related, and we probably would. And we've already gone an hour, I think. So it's probably
snack time.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. So I was getting hungry. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you, everyone, for dropping in. If you would like to get more of these and get notifications so you don't miss them, please hit subscribe. It should be popping up around about now. Zoe, thanks for jumping on. I know you're not much of a on-face camera girl, as you so elegantly described to me when I asked you to come on. So I thank you for that. And yeah, I'll catch you all later. As always, stay strong, stay safe, stay connected, and be formidable. Where's that pause button?